Hola gente, ¿cómo va todo? So today I want to talk to you about how I've maintained my Spanish language and my Puerto Rican identity, despite the fact that I've been living in the U.S. since I was 5 years old, and I'm 22 now. And I don't get the opportunity to spend a whole lot of time with my family. And the only connection I have to Puerto Rico and my homeland and the language is typically only through my mother. Even when I was young, I realized that Spanish was something very important to me and my family. Because they might not be too proficient in English, so I can communicate with them in Spanish, and there are certain emotions that are expressed in Spanish that you can't quite express in English. When I was 5 years old, when my mother first moved into the U.S., we were living in Virginia. We were walking to 7-Eleven. I was holding her hand, ready to get a slushie, or an icy. Yeah, it's an icy. It's been a while. And I remember telling her, hey mom, I want to make it a rule that for the rest of my life, I will only speak in Spanish to you. And it's been someone I've been really proud of that decision ever since. I've definitely gone through phases where my Spanish wasn't up to par with my family members or even people I would meet. And it would have its highs and lows. At one point, I spent a few months in Puerto Rico, and I remember I would dream in Spanish, and my thoughts were also in Spanish. And it's something I've kept up for myself because I want to make something that helps me connect with my when my Spanish really evolved was when I was in my senior year of high school, and after that, I had tried taking Spanish in my high school. I was able to get bumped up a year ahead in Spanish my freshman year, and then the following year I was able to get bumped up to another year. So I went from Spanish 2 my freshman year to Spanish 4 my sophomore year. But when I reached my sophomore year, I again asked the faculty members and my teachers, like, hey, I want to take AP Spanish because I believe I'm capable of it, and I got denied that, and I didn't want to keep wasting my time in a low level in the Spanish class I was in because everything was just dreadfully slow, and I was quite frustrated that people didn't want to take a chance with me and see my potential, because I don't know how many students would ask for that kind of opportunity. So I switched to a different class then. But going back to post-high school in my senior year, hell, even actually during my high school years, I listened to a lot of Calle 13. He had his roots in with reggaeton in Puerto Rico, but he branched more into more urban style kind of reggaeton rap. And he was kind of against the whole thing they were doing with like girls, drugs, that type of stuff, and he was more about the people and sending a message through his music. And I would listen to all his albums on repeat, and I would practice singing them. I would practice rapping along with them. I would have them stuck in my head, so it's something that constantly kept turning in my head, and all that repetition inside my head kind of ingrained the Spanish language a little bit more, and it really helped me be able to maintain my language and my identity, because living in the U.S., it's kind of hard to maintain your Spanish identity because you're surrounded by all these Americans who can sometimes be quite judgmental of your background. And so I spent a lot of time just listening to a lot of music, rapping along with it, and that helped a ton. It just seemed quite strange to me that not a lot of other Latinos I met did that kind of thing. I mean, they would listen to Spanish music, but they wouldn't really practice the language as often. Even when I was young, I never understood why other kids did not want to practice Spanish with their mother, who tried really hard to get their kids to learn Spanish. And when I was about 18, 19, I would also try to speak Spanish with other Latinos, other or the minorities, and I did face opposition because I speak more of a Puerto Rican style Spanish. Bueno, tal vez tengo un acento de Puerto Rico, no sé. And they refused to even speak with me because they said, "Hey, I can't understand you. This is kind of keep talking in English." Now, I would also get offended at that a little bit too, because like, hey, don't you want to make the effort to understand me and actually understand other Puerto Rican accents? Like, why are you just gonna stonewall yourself from a culture and experience? And I kind of naturally did the same thing to people who had a more Mexican accent too, because it was hard for me to understand them as well. Looking back now, I realize there's quite a bit of prejudice in the Latino community too. A little bit of like nationalism, I guess, that like, hey, like my country's the best. My way of speaking is the right way type of thing. And that's not necessarily the case. Due to all those kind of influences and pressures, I began to modify my accent and I began to enunciate what I was saying a little bit more so I could be better understood. Y ahora mi español está en un punto que, bueno, lo puedo escribir bastante bien, aunque no he practicado mucho. Lo puedo hablar bastante bien, puedo tener muchas conversaciones con mucha gente. Y también puedo leer en español y puedo ver programas de televisión. Y para darte un ejemplo de mi pronunciación en español, voy a leer la primera parte de La Casa de los Espíritus por Isabel Allende. Y esto es algo que quiero enseñarle mis progresos con el español y quiero enseñarle la diferencia que un solo libro puede hacer para tu lenguaje. Y aquí empezamos con la primera parte. Rosa la Bella. Barrabás llegó a la familia por vía marítima. Anotó la niña Clara con su delicada caligrafía. Ya entonces tenía el hábito de escribir las cosas importantes y más tarde, cuando se quedó muda, escribía también las trivialidades sin sospechar que 50 años después sus cuadernos me servirían para rescatar la memoria del pasado ni para sobrevivir a mi propio espanto. El día que llegó Barrabás era Jueves Santo. Venía en una jaula indigna, cubierto de sus propios excrementos y orines, con una mirada extraviada de preso miserable e indefenso, pero ya se adivinaba, por el porte real de su cabeza y el tamaño de su esqueleto, el gigante legendario que llegó a ser. Aquel era un día aburrido y otoñal, que en nada presagiaba los acontecimientos que la niña escribió para que fueran recordados y que ocurrieron durante la misa de 12, en la parroquia de San Sebastián, a la cual asistió con toda su familia. En señal de duelo, los santos estaban tapados con trapos morados que las beatas desempolvaban anualmente del ropero de la sacristía, y bajo las sábanas de luto, la corte celestial parecía un amasijo de muebles esperando la mudanza, sin que las velas, el incienso, los gemidos del órgano pudieran contrarrestar ese lamentable efecto. Se erguían amenazantes bultos oscuros en el lugar de los santos de cuerpo entero, con su rostro idéntico de expresión constipada, sus elaboradas pelucas de cabello de muerto, sus rubies, sus perlas, sus esmeraldas de vidrio pintado y sus vestuarios de nobles florentinos. El único favorecido con el luto era el patrono de la iglesia, San Sebastián, porque en Semana Santa le ahorraba a los fieles el espectáculo de su cuerpo torcido en una postura indecente, atravesado por media docena de flechas, chorreando sangre y lágrimas, como un homosexual sufriente, cuyas llagas, milagrosamente frescas gracias al pincel del padre Restrepo, hacían estremecer de asco a Clara. Now with this, the thing with books is, especially with someone that's more so with magical realism, is that there's going to be a lot of like filler details, filler adjectives. There's going to be a lot of descriptions about stuff, and if you're reading a new book in a different language, you got to realize that those little details are a part of the book, but they don't make up the whole book. So I actually have to read through a few times to actually understand what's going on. And something that really helps a lot, I have a note card I write on for each chapter. And at the end of each chapter, I'm going to write like a little like summary of what happened. And I also write down the words I don't know and I need to learn so I can look it up later. And I'm still not done with the first chapter. But I just want to show y'all how I maintain my language. It's something that you have to come back to consistently if you want any success in. And it doesn't have to be every day. It is better if you do it every day, but you lose a lot less than you think. And yeah, I've maintained my Spanish through the music, through books, talk with my family, and yeah, ha sido un buen viaje.